Yo, what's good? What's good? Maxim is here. Well, today is a special day because I've been promising this video for a little minute, and I wanted to actually take the time out on this nice, calm Sunday where I'm actually sitting still for a few minutes, and I wanted to talk about my experience in the lifestyle, how I first got started, because I feel like it's a story worth telling. So without further ado, here we go. My introduction to the lifestyle was very interesting because I used to model. I know some of y'all might look at my halfway looks or whatever and be like, what? You used to model? Like, how? You're some big old whatever guy. Yeah, well, I was in pretty good shape back in the days, and I'm trying to get back there now, but I won't lie. The discipline ain't quite what it used to be. Anyway, so I used to model back in the days, and in doing that, I used to get invited to a lot of different things, industry events, whatever the case may be. Now, no, I never made it to any of them Diddy parties, so don't y'all start with the bullshit. Ain't nobody was, listen, I wasn't baby oiling up and doing all that crazy shit. But I will say this, it was definitely a wild experience. Like, I was hanging with these girls. I used to be cool with a lot of girls there because I was known to be a trained fighter. I was definitely in that kind of shape and whatever it may have you. The girls will often like me to come with them because it was like having a bouncer that they actually thought was attractive and wanted to be around and was cool and whatever. So they got like all of that wrapped into one with me being around. So that being said, they would have me come with them to whatever fucking parties they was going to, whatever. So one day it was like, yo, we about to go to this like house party joint, whatever. One of our girlfriends told us this shit is like a different kind of party though. Like, what did they say? They said, they said, oh, this is one of those parties where, you know, you get your freak on if you want to, or you could just turn up, drink, smoke, do whatever, and it's all good. And I'm like, word? I'm like, shit. The bald-headed hoe in me was like, I mean, let's motherfucking go. You know what I'm saying? So I pulled up with like 3 of these girls. Motherfuckers thought I was like some kind of celeb or something. I mean, I was dressed nice. Like, it was one of those events you definitely had to come in correct. You didn't just come in some shit that looked like a dress down. Like, this wasn't even that kind of thing. This thing was it was a big ass house too out in Long Island. And I drove us out there, whatever. And then we got there, they saw me with the girls. They was like, oh shit, you know, like, who the fuck this guy is? Like, cause they see these 3 pretty ass model chicks and they like, and we walking up into this joint. So, you know, they're very welcoming, it's a very nice situation, whatever. Funny enough, we didn't really need to bring any liquor though. That was one thing that I found interesting that I thought about. They just was like, you know, just come as you are. You know, you throw a little something in at the door, and they got you on the liquor, they got you on the, you know, other refreshments, whatever. They had condoms of all different types. I mean, back in the days, it was about the Trojans, I believe. They had the green pack, which was the larger ones, which, you know, that was the precursor to Magnums and all that shit. So they had all of that shit strewn out there, whatever. The party setup was kind of dope. They had different rooms for different kinks and all that stuff. And I'm just walking around through all this and I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I felt totally at home from that initial moment. But the one thing that was wild to me, because I wasn't, you know, I had the jitters that anybody would have when you're in a situation where you about to whip your thing out in front of people if you decide you're gonna play, because it was all open play areas. Like, they had some private room shits, but you know how it goes with private room things. That's one thing that's always true, is those rooms are always busy. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, the one thing I liked, and I remember that from back then, is they had monitors everywhere. So if you wanted to use a private room, you had a certain amount of time you could use it for. You couldn't be up in there all night just hogging out the room, because you know they want to keep shit in rotation. They had about like 5 or 6 private rooms, like maybe 2 playrooms, I think. And the basement, they always put the kink shit, like the extra kink shit in the basement, like the real BDSM shit. I remember that being down there. And it was a really dope experience. And what's crazy is I'm sitting up there, because honestly at this point I lost track of the girls. I didn't know where the fuck they was, because I was just wandering around on my own, you know. And on occasion what we would do is like every like 15 minutes, if we weren't busy doing something, we'd be checking in, like we physically see each other or whatever. So I was like, alright, they told me where they was gonna be at more than likely, and if they not there, then they might be playing. So it ain't hard to find them, because the playrooms is right there, whatever. So, because they wouldn't go into a private one without letting me know. So, because that's the same system we have when we go to regular club. Like, we went to a regular club, if they was gonna dip off or whatever, they would let me know what's up. So we always had a good rapport. And I think that's something that's important when you're rolling with people in this, is that good rapport is important. And even though these women were not partners of mine or nothing like that, I wasn't even sleeping with any of them until that night, but we will get there. So then after that, it was like, I ended up like, trying to remember. I ended up going to the kink area first. Was the first like thing I interacted in. And one of the girls, I was surprised that she was really into that. Like, she came to me and she was like, I want you to spank me. Like, you got big hands, big strong hands, I want you to spank me. And I was like, I got one better for you. They got a whole table set up here. You know, the thing I like too is they had like the cleaner and stuff, so you could clean off the table, make sure everything is nice and sanitized for if you wanted to use it. So I laid her down on the table. She had stripped down to nothing, but I mean, seeing her naked was nothing, because we modeled together. We've all seen each other pretty much in everything but anything, because behind stage, there's no being bashful. You're just flipping from clothes. The only thing is, nobody ever seen my dangling swinging around, because there's really no need for that, you know. But I've seen the girls pretty much as naked as they gonna be. But nonetheless, so I'm down there and she's on the table. So the thing is with me, now this time I wasn't as skilled as I am now. Now I have skills in tantra and massage, pressure point. Now the pressure points thing I did know, because that was part of my martial arts training. And I've always been pretty good with my hands. So I started using those techniques on her, and I'm just down there massaging her. The other girls is in the corner, they're smoking and they're just watching like, damn. I was like, I'm gonna take you on a whole ride tonight, boo. And I started fucking massaging her down, all that good stuff. And then I grabbed one of the floggers that was there, and I gently started gliding it up and down her body, because, you know, I've seen this stuff done before as far as like on TV here. And I don't know, it's just something naturally kicked in. Like, I just knew what to do. I wasn't perfect at it, no. I'm not the level of any of these doms or whatever, as good as they are with those tools, but it just seemed to make sense of how to handle it. And I was following the waves of her body. So I went and I did the whole thing, and then I started flogging her, and you know, then I was using my hands and spanking her with that, using some other techniques and stimulating all the different parts of her and stuff. That girl ended up making a whole mess on the freaking table. It was amazing. And I just was like, wow, this is some kind of party. That was literally what I said. So after that, the other two girls that was there, they were just sitting there watching. It was like, oh shit, you know, they all amazed and stuff. So then one of the doms that was there, he was clapping. He was like, brother, I don't know who taught you what, but you clearly know what you do. I said, bro, this is my first time. I said, this is my first time even being in something like this. He was like, you look like you've been doing this shit. I said, nah, bro. I was like, at this time, I'm only like 23 years old. I'm like, nah, I'm only 23. Like, I don't know shit about this. You know what I'm saying? I just did what felt right to do. And he was like, yeah, that's one of the keys of getting this shit right. And I was like, all right, you know, nah, I feel that. You know what I'm saying? I was like, you know, my bad on the table. He's like, nah, don't worry about that. You know what I'm saying? Apparently they got some cleaners that come too. So not only do you have the option to clean things off, kind of like you go to the gym and you can wipe the shit down, spray it down, blah, blah, blah. They also have like I said, they have monitors everywhere. So they have people that if they know a mess is made somewhere, they go right in there and clean. This shit was very, I think that's, to this day, that's still one of the most well put together things. But when I think about the money that was behind it, that probably was part of the reason. And it's just one of those things where I found that experience to be amazing. But it wasn't over yet, because then Shorty comes up to me and she's, you know, and we start making out. She's like, I never been stimulated like that. That shit was so fucking sexy. Telling me all this stuff. And next thing you know, we in the playroom, we doing our thing. And keep in mind, the other two girls are still back. You know, like they've just been following us and watching and giggling and shit. Cause you know, they clearly never been in no shit like this before. Like the one I was messing with, I could tell she's been in these things before. I mean, she was the one with the plug anyway. But the whole thing is, I could tell that she's been in this mix because she seemed to really know her way around. So we in there, we playing whatever. And then the two girls, I all of a sudden hear them doing a whole thing. Because at this point, it was only us in that playroom. Like the other people that was there, I don't know what they were up to, what they were doing. But we had that playroom to ourselves for a nice 20 minutes before other people really started coming in there. And they started playing with themselves while we in there, we doing what we doing. And it was just amazing. I mean, of course I had my way and had my fill with all of them because I just was like, fuck it. I mean, it was really an amazing time. It's one of, to this day, the reason why I remember this so well, even though there are parts that are spotty, and yes, I'm not giving every dirty detail, but there are parts, I mean, it's not parts, there are things that just make this amazing to me. Like, to this day, it's one of my best experiences when it came to the whole LS thing, because everything was so organized, there was no pressure, and it just flowed naturally. And I feel like a lot of times in today's LS, things don't necessarily flow naturally. You get a lot of weird people moving around and doing a lot of different shit, you know, and I don't know, I just really, really enjoyed my time that night. Not to mention the food spread in there. I gotta step back for a minute from the sex. The food spread in there was great. Like, they had all types of pastas and shit, and salad and fruit. Of course, they had little sandwiches. Now, Samantha Stables kind of reminds me of that place to a degree, but this place was bigger and even more high end than that. Not to take anything away from Stables, but I'm just saying, this shit was a mansion. And this shit, the way this shit was set up was just like, mwah, chef's kiss. You know, like, and it just made me, and I will admit that I've made more visits. We started going there like once a month until, you know, I separated from that world as far as the whole industry thing and the modeling. And I separated from that world and moved on to other things and started doing more like party promotion and stuff like that, which, you know, vanilla party promotion, stuff like that, which pulled me away from the LS for a while. But it was some great memories there for sure. And it was dope because the way I got my start wasn't what I hear in a lot of people's stories. They didn't even know what they was walking into. But in my story, I knew I was walking into something that was gonna be a little extra. It just was not specified like, oh, this is a swing party. Da-da-da. Nobody ever says that. But it was a dope experience. I loved it. And it's one of the things that I'm even today. Sometimes I wish I could hop in the time machine and go back. Just because the way that was set up was so great. I didn't have, even though I was responsible for 3 women that night, I did not have to worry about no weirdo shit, no dude coming up and creeping from behind trying to do some creeper shit. Like, they had such a handle on all of that. Like, if anybody tried to do anything goofy, they would have been hurled out that door so fast it wouldn't have been funny. And I mean the door to the house, they'd have been in the street. And understand, again, this is the middle of Long Island. Like, you can't just walk to the corner and you got a store right there. Nah, you in the middle of wherever, the West Bumfuck USA. Now, all of that being said, I just wanted to share this experience, share my opinions. I appreciate y'all watching this. And don't forget, Social Experiment is coming back in September. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the podcast, to the show, because we have a lot of great content in store. I got some editing to do. I went to Eroticon on Friday. I got some editing to do for that. I'm running behind with the safety committee thing because honestly, I overloaded myself for projects and I needed to take a step and just slow down. Like, even today, I was getting on the computer to do some work and I said, nah, I just need to let this Sunday be a leisure. Like, I need to stop, like, beyond exhausted. Anyway, I appreciate y'all for taking y'all time to watch this. And yeah, hopefully we'll get up soon. Maybe you'll catch me in these streets somewhere. We'll see. Time will tell. Anyway, peace.